Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Dental Board of California meeting. My name is Dr.
Stephen. I have been elected as president of the board. Today is Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. This is the board meeting is being held in person. This is an official business meeting of the Dental Board of California. The board welcomes public comments on any item on the agenda, and it is the board's intent to ask for public comments prior to the board taking action on any agenda item. Depending on the number of people who would like to testify on a particular agenda item, a total time of 2 minutes may be imposed. We ask that all speakers please stay on topic and do not repeat testimony already provided. If you agree with testimony already provided, please just state your name and that you are in support of any comments previously provided. A time limit may be determined as necessary. Please keep your comments in that time limit. I would like to call the meeting to order and ask that the board secretary please call the roll.
Good
Dr.
morning,
Loren.
Board Secretary. I will call the roll. Chan?
Chan, aye.
Chan, I. Cheng?
Chang, aye.
Cheng, I. David?
David, aye.
David, I. Felsenfeld?
Felsenfeld here.
Felsify, I. Forge?
Forge, aye.
Forge, I. Larin, I. Medina?
Medina, aye.
Medina, I. Olage?
Olagi, aye.
Olage, I. Thakur is absent today. You?
You, aye.
You, I. Motion, excuse me, quorum present.
Thank you. We will now move on to agenda item 2, public comment on items not on the agenda. We're on page 6 of the materials. Before we open public comment on matters not on the agenda, I'd like to remind individuals making comments not to discuss pending complaints, pending licensing applications, or pending disciplinary actions that may later come before the board for a decision. Such discussions are considered ex parte communications, as they could provide information to the board members that is outside of the record in violation of the Administrative Procedure Act. Such discussions could create conflict and lead to a board decision being challenged in Superior Court. Accordingly, if an individual makes comments on pending disciplinary matters, the individual will be interrupted. The board can, of course, receive comments regarding the board's processes in general, but it cannot receive comments on specific case circumstances where the decision is still pending. In addition, public comments should address the board as a whole and not individual members. Please be aware that the public comments during this agenda item should provide information to the board members and not a discussion between the board members and the public. The only action board members can take right now is to listen to comments and decide whether or not they want a future agenda item on the topic. Though this may seem at times like the board members are not being responsive, following these guidelines is critical to ensure the rules of the Open Meeting Act are followed to avoid compromising the speaker's goal or the board's mission. In the interest of time, as we've done in the past, we would like to request that the public comments not repeat comments made by a prior commenter. If you are in support of a statement made by a prior individual and your comments have already been made, please state your name or association and your support for the previous commenter. Legislative hearings regularly use this practice and is a good way to ensure that we hear from everyone today. Are there any public comments? Seeing none, let's move on. Let's move on to agenda item 3, discussion and possible action on the February 6th to 7th, 2025 board meeting minutes. We're on page 7 through 38 of the meeting materials. Are there any board member discussions? Okay, let's see. Is there a motion?
You motion.
Okay, and the motion is, Dr. Yu?
Is to pass the meeting.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Yeah.
Ms. Medina? Any public comments? Hearing none. Thank you, Board Secretary. Please call the roll and record the votes for this agenda item.
Yes, the motion is to approve the meeting minutes of February 6th and 7th. Chan?
Chan, aye.
Chan, I. Cheng?
Chang, I.
Cheng, I. David?
David, I on the
Dave.
6th and abstain on the 7th.
Okay. Okay, Felsenfeld?
Felsenfeld, yes.
Felsenfeld, I. Forge?
Forge, I.
Forge, I. Ladine, I. Medina?
Medina, I.
Medina, I. Olage?
Olagi, I.
Olage, I. Thakur, absent. And you?
You I.
You, I. Motion passes.
Thank you. We're now moving on to agenda item 4, Board President Report. We're on page 39 of the meeting materials. The first thing is, first of all, we would like to thank and congratulate former Executive Officer Tracy Montez for her transformative leadership. We thank her for her service on behalf of the current board members and past board members and our 85-member crew of the Dental Board of California. As you may have been aware, Dr. Montez was scheduled to retire on May 1st, 2025, but there was a paperwork hiccup. Can't imagine in this place that big. And her retirement was delayed. The issue has been resolved. She retired as of May 6th, 2025. And she will, 2025. Since she retired, Ms. Bell, we've been working with Ms. Bell since the beginning of the year, and she will be covering the executive officer duties until the board selection committee can bring applicants to be interviewed before the board, hopefully before the August board meeting. But thank you, Dr. Montez. Number 2, the DCA has a leadership meeting with all the board presidents and executive officers, and they held the first one. It's held quarterly. It was held on March 25th, 2025, and Assistant Executive Officer Bell and I attended that meeting. The third thing, on March 5th, I gave a presentation to the annual meeting of the California Society of Dental Anesthesiologists on behalf of the Dental Board. I presented the video that the Dental Board has on the enforcement process. So we thank them for the invitation. It was presented by Zoom. On 2022nd, I attended the board meeting of the Dental Hygiene Board of California. And noteworthy, past Dental Board of California, past president and board member, Joanne Pacheco. I don't see her, but
She's over.
she's over there. Okay. Was elected unanimously to president of the Dental Hygiene Board. So congratulations on that. We kind of know her past with us. On April 15th, Mr. David was appointed to the community-based clinical education work group of the California Dental Association Foundation. So thank you, Mr. David. Sixth item is ADEC, a dental exam committee. I appointed Dr. Loren to represent the board on this committee. The board uses the ADEC dental exam as part of one of its pathways to dental licensure. As the board representative, Dr. Loren will attend a virtual meeting and possibly on-site meeting during the annual meeting. She will be evaluating the criteria and content development of the exam. However, she will not take part in any administration of the exam. Number 7. There's a question of request for board representation on other boards. It's important to distinguish this type of representation other than types of requests for board representation. That is, the board must be sensitive to members serving on a committee that are not directly tied to board operations. For example, Dr. Felsenfeld participates in CDA's SB 501 Anesthesia Committee. He does not represent the board. Rather, he acts in the capacity of a subject matter expert, representing his views only. As a state regulatory board, board input need to be formatted, transparent, and discussion in an open forum. Boards must adhere to the board, council, and committee member administrative policy and procedures manual. Finally, the board member vacancies that we have currently are 5. We have a vacancy for 1 RDA, 2 public members, and 2 DDSs. The board requires 8 members on site to have a quorum. Interested members should contact the governor's appointment office by completing and applying at Find Jobs GOVCA Careers Marketplace. Is there any board member discussion? Seeing none. Is there any public comment? Seeing none. Let's move on. We're going on to agenda item 5, Assistant Executive Director Report. Ms. Bell.
Thank you. Christy Bell, Assistant Executive Officer. I'm going to provide a brief update on board operations and the current strategic plan. Regarding board operations, the board is working with the Department of Consumer Affairs to comply with the governor's return to work executive order. The order requires staff to work in the office 4 days a week. The board was already limiting telework to 2 days per week, so fortunately there is minimal impact to board staff and operations. I am pleased to report that the board has filled all vacant positions. One caveat is that some positions are still in the final phase of background checks. We are confident that those individuals will be successful. One of the board's most recent hires, Albert Law, came to us from the Dental Hygiene Board of California. He was the Assistant Executive Officer. Albert brings a wealth of knowledge, including having been a juvenile correction officer and a special investigator. This experience, combined with his AEO skills, makes him a perfect candidate for the Enforcement Division Administrator position. As shared at the February 2025 board meeting, DCA's Solid Unit will be conducting strategic planning for the board. The process is expected to begin this summer with survey distribution and data compilation occurring over the summer months and will follow up at the November board meeting. The current strategic plan is on the board's website, but copies are available. The board lists 4 overarching goals. Licensing and enforcement. We had 6 objectives, and these objectives have mostly been met except for one, which is the ongoing monitoring of license portability and workforce shortages. Consumer protection and enforcement. We had 4 objectives. Some of them have been met, but the board is still waiting for the DCA Enlightened Enforcement Report, which should allow the board to address the remaining items. Communication and customer service. The board has achieved all 4 objectives. Administrative services, the board has achieved all 3 objectives. The purpose of this is not to discuss the goals or status now, but to share that the board has made excellent progress and a more thorough discussion and facilitated discussion will occur in November. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Are there any board member discussions? Seeing none. Are there any public comments? Seeing none. Thank you. Let's move on to agenda item 6, report on the Department of Consumer Affairs, DCA activities, which may include updates on DCA's administrative services, human resources, enforcement, information technology, communications and outreach, as well as legislative, regulatory, and policy matters. Do we have a DCA representative? Oh, Ms. Bell is going to be presenting the report.
Thank you, Dr. Chan. Board and Bureau Relations cannot be here today. However, they did provide me with an update to send on their behalf. In January, the governor has released his proposed 2025-2026 state budget, which included a proposal to split DCA's oversight agency, the Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency, into two state agencies, the California Housing and Homelessness Agency and the Business and Consumer Services Agency. The proposed California Housing and Homelessness Agency will oversee housing and homelessness solutions and safeguard civil rights. The new Business and Consumer Services Agency will be responsible for consumer affairs, licensing, and enforcement. The Department of Consumer Affairs would be among the 8 departments in this new category. As part of the process in state government, on April 4th, the governor's reorganization plan was delivered to the nonpartisan Little Hoover Commission for review. The submission of the plan to the commission began an approximate 90-day formal review process. The commission held public hearings on April 23rd and 24th to receive testimony and for interested parties to provide input on the proposed reorganization. Our agency secretary, DCA Director Kirchmeier, and other impacted department leaders testified in support of the governor's plan and responded to questions from the commissioners. The commission is in the process of writing a report that it will submit to the governor and the legislature. The commission's report will offer a recommendation to the governor and the legislature as to whether it believes the reorganization plan should go into effect. The commission sometimes offers recommendations for how the plan could be strengthened, either through administrative actions or subsequent legislation. The legislature will then have 60 days to review and consider the reorganization plan. The governor's plan becomes effective on the 61st day after it has been given to the legislature, unless either the Senate or the Assembly adopts by majority vote a resolution to reject the plan. If approved, the Business and Consumer Services Agency will be created in July 2025 with 1 year of transition and will become operative on July 1st, 2026. In addition to several virtual briefings hosted by Agency Secretary Moss, there is detailed information available on the reorganization plan on the Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency website. We believe this is an extraordinary opportunity for DCA to better align with other consumer protection departments. A secretary within the governor's cabinet focused solely on consumer protection will only strengthen our mission, momentum, and delivery of services to California. DCA will continue to keep Board and Bureau leadership updated on the progress of the governor's reorganization plan. On March 3rd, 2025, Governor Newsom issued an executive order requiring all state agencies and departments to update their hybrid telework policies for employees and increase from 2 to 4 days in office per week, beginning on July 1st, 2025. On March 13th, 2025, the California Department of Human Resources issued guidance on implementation of the executive order. The guidance provides defined parameters for when agencies and departments can make case-by-case exceptions to the 4-day in-office minimum requirement. DCA has been working closely with a few programs on identifying additional space needed for this transition. DCA has been hosting bi-weekly meetings with Board and Bureau leadership to provide updates and respond to questions. We recognize that this transition will likely require adjustments for many employees, and we are working together to minimize the impacts. We will, of course, continue to keep leadership updated on any additional direction received from CalHR. On April 28th, Levi Hull began serving as DCA's new Compliance and Equity Officer. In this position, he is responsible for leading and coordinating department-wide quality improvement efforts to ensure consistency and regulatory compliance. This position oversees DCA's solid planning and training services, the Organizational Improvement Office, the Equal Employment Opportunity Office, and the Internal Audit Office, and serves as the liaison to the department's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Steering Committee. As the department's equity officer, this position is dedicated to enhancing the diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility policies, trainings, and activities throughout the department's programs. Levi brings more than 12 years of experience in leading multidisciplinary teams and driving strategic program development. With more than 9 years of experience in EEO compliance and program management, including nearly 3 years at DCA, he is an experienced leader with a deep commitment to fostering inclusive, equitable, and accessible work environments. In closing, each year during the first week in May, we celebrate Public Service Recognition Week. I want to close with a special thank you to the board, your executive officer and board staff for your hard work and dedicated efforts to achieve our mission of consumer protection. We are grateful for your partnership and applaud your extraordinary service each and every day. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and realized she was reading this, but thank you for our executive officer and our staff. Thank you. Is there any board member discussion?
Just one question. Is the return to work board,
Let's identify ourselves as we speak.
I'm sorry, Robert David, board member. Is there any anticipated impact in terms of office space related to the return to work order for the board staff?
The dental board currently has sufficient space, so it's not an issue for us.
Thank you.
Any other board discussion? Seeing none, is there any public comment? Seeing none, thank you. Let's move on to item on the agenda number 7, the budget report, page 42 through 48. Mr. Ramboa, Administrative Services Unit Manager, to present this agenda. Good morning, Wilbur.
Good morning, board members. Again, Wilbur Rambawa, Administrative Services Manager. I'd like to provide an update for the dental board's budget for fiscal year 24-25. The data will be coming from February of 2025, which is considered fiscal month 8. To date, the board's budget of $20.3 million for the expenditures expected towards the end of the fiscal year is $12.8 million. With that being said, we are expected to revert $1.8 million back to our fund. In terms of revenue, the board has the budgeted revenue is $18.8 million. But what we have actually projected is that we will be collecting $20.4 million by the end of the fiscal year. In regards to the dental board's loan, the loan is expected to be repaid at the end of the fiscal year, and the interest accrued on that is approximately 0.67%. And with the calculations from the budget office, it's anticipated that it's going to be approximately $33,000 per year, and the interest earned on that loan will be $160,000. This item is informational only. No action is requested at this time. I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Is there any board member discussion?
Robert David, the loan to be repaid, the $5 million loan as of June 30, you're not really expecting that, are you? I would be absolutely stunned in this fiscal environment if that loan were extended.
At this time, we are expected to have that repaid. Additionally, for your information, it'll also be repaid before any fee increases, if that is the direction that we're going.
Okay. I would just encourage you to have, to plan, for a contingency that is not going to be repaid. And then if you need to come back to us and have a conversation, but we're in a very difficult fiscal period with the state, and all special funds are being borrowed against now, and I think repayment is unlikely.
Ask a question. Nadine, I have a question, please. Why is there a requirement for repayment if there's a fee increase? I don't understand why it's required that they pay us back.
So in terms of the fee increase, if we are going to be pursuing that, to get the entirety of our budget, we have to make sure that we have all our monies. And to make sure if our money is in there, if we can sustain ourselves. So it's the big picture of items. So there's no point in going towards a fee increase, and then, having that money back, not paid, because we want to see the whole picture.
Any other board discussion? Seeing none. Are there any public comments? Seeing none. Thank you. We're going to move on to agenda item number 8, report on the Dental Hygiene Board of California activities. Ms. President Joanne Macheco and Executive Officer Anthony Lum. Welcome.
Good morning, President Chan, Acting Executive Officer Bell, board members, and staff. I'm Joanne Pacheco, President of the Dental Hygiene Board, with Anthony Lum, the board's Executive Officer, to report our activities to you. We've been extremely busy since our last report in November, and here's some highlights of our projects. The first is strategic planning. The board completed its 2024 through 2028 strategic plan, and after some beautification from DCA's graphic designers, the final product is posted on our website for public view. The second, regulations. We continue to work on promulgating our regulations and identify the need to revise existing regulatory sections as needed. We have several packages moving through the regulatory process, consisting of departmental and agency reviews prior to moving forward to the Office of Administrative Law for approval. A few topics we're addressing are: the first, create and initiate a registration process for registered dental hygienists in alternative practice, the RDHAP, dental hygiene practices in designated areas of the state with the board. This will allow the board to monitor and occasionally review these practices and licensees for compliance of the law. And the second, regulations were improved for the inspection parameters of mobile dental hygiene clinics and portable dental equipment owned by RDHAPs. This will ensure the use of proper sanitary and sterilizing procedures to enhance infection control and patient safety. The third, infection control regulations. As stated earlier, we want to thank the dental board and all the experts involved in the collaborative effort between our boards to review and re-review these regulations to finalize a draft. I believe with all the work that's been completed, we have a product that enhances patient safety when providing dental services to the public. Once the DBC approves the draft, I'll take it back to my board in July for their review and consensus on these regulations. And third, educational programs. Oversight of the dental hygiene educational programs continues with various changes constantly occurring, such as new program directors and faculty qualifications, expansion requests of existing program facilities or clinics to increase the number of students in each cohort, and requests for new dental hygiene schools for entrance into the profession due to the anticipated workforce shortage. We currently have 3 entities interested in starting new dental hygiene programs in California, with continued communication on the approval process. To ensure one area of the state isn't oversaturated with dental hygiene programs, we require a feasibility study demonstrating a need for the school to be completed for a particular area when requesting approval from the board. Several site visits to dental hygiene educational programs occur over the past few months to ensure a safe practicing environment for students and operational compliance of the law. Most of the schools have some deviation from law that are easily correctable when we identify them. However, issues that are more complex are provided a fair deadline to correct the deficiency. Personnel update. Board members, currently we have one public member vacancy from the legislature, and once the new member is appointed, will be a full and complete board once again. And staff, we continue to fill vacant positions as quickly as possible to address the board's work and seem to continually have vacancies due to focusing on promoting from within our program after a staff person leaves for another position. We currently have 3 vacancies and will be advertising to fill them soon. This concludes my report, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to share our activities with you. Are there any questions?
Thank you for your report. and Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, it feels good to be sitting on this side.
Is there any board member discussion? Seeing none, is there any public comment? Seeing none, thank you. Thank you for joining us this morning.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for having.
Let's move on to agenda item 9, Dental Assisting Council Meeting Report. Ms. Robbins, sorry,
That's okay.
Mouth
Good
cuts.
morning.
got tongue-tied.
That's okay. Good morning. So for the Dental Assistant Council Chair Report, the Dental Assistant Council of the Dental Board of California met on Wednesday, May 14, 2025. After calling the meeting in order to establish a quorum, public comment was taken. The February meeting minutes were approved. The Assistant Executive Officer report on items including the upcoming strategic plan process and updates were provided by the board, staff, and on dental assisting examination licensings and programs and course approvals. DCA agenda item number 9, council recommended the board for submission to the legislation amendments to AB 873 in business professional code section 1750 subdivision C, change 90 days to 30 days. And BPC sections 1755, leave subdivision G in the bill. And in BPC sections 1725, subdivision 1, set the fee for items from the radiation safety courses at $7,330 and add new subdivision M to set the infection control course fee in section 1755 at $3,830. A brief update on the actions taken by Dental Assisting Regulations Working Group since the last council meeting was provided, and the council discussed a legislative proposal to add Business and Professional Code Section BPC 1778 relating to the board approval of dental assisting educational programs and courses. The council took public comment and made the following recommendations to the board: that this is being sent back to the working group to discuss further and bring suggestions back in August. The council then decided a legislative proposal to amend BPC sections 1753 and 1753.5 regarding authorized duties and procedures of the registered dental assistants and in extended functions. The council took public comment and made the following recommendations to the board: that the board moves to the legislative proposal for submission to the California State Legislation to amend BPC sections 1753 and 1753.5 regarding the RDA-EF duties and educational requirements. Finally, the council initiating a rulemaking amendment, California Code of Regulations, CCR, Title 16, Section 1005, regarding minimum standards for infection control. The council listened, took public comment, and made the following recommendations to the board. That the board approves the proposed regulatory text for approval, and that the council discuss additional topics for the subject of AB 873. And then the meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you for your work and your team's work. There's a lot of variables you're sorting out in the marketplace. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you, sir.
Is there any board discussion? Seeing none. Is there any public comment? Seeing none. Let's move on to agenda item 10A, status on pending regulations. We're going to present Mr. Brent Nelson, Legislative and Regulatory Specialist, to present this agenda item. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Board President. I'll be presenting agenda item 10A, found on page 51 of your meeting materials. The proposed text for the rulemaking to amend the California Code of Regulations regarding applications for dentist licensure and fees. This was by the board and at its February 2025 board meeting. Since that time, board staff have drafted an initial rulemaking package, which includes the proposed text, the initial statement of reasons, explaining the regulation's purpose and impact. This package is now undergoing internal review by the Department of Consumer Affairs, Regulatory Council, and budget staff as a standard part of the regulatory process. This item is information only, and no action is requested. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any board member discussion? Seeing none. Are there any public comments? Seeing none. All right, let's move on to agenda item 10B, discussion and possible action to initiate a rulemaking to amend CCR Title 16, Section 1005 regarding minimum standards for infection control. We're on page 52 through 134 of the meeting materials. Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Board President. As I mentioned during the Dental Assisting Council, we have been working very hard on this proposed text that is found in attachment 2. This final product represents a lot of work by our working group consisting of Ms. Olagi and Ms. Miyazaki, and also a lot of collaborative work with the Dental Hygiene Board of California. And I would like to thank Anthony Lum and Ms. Pacheco for their kind assistance and thorough review of this text. We have all come together and ensured that we have a very good text. During the Dental Assisting Council meeting, there were some small changes that were suggested that we believe in the course and scope of the regulatory process we will be able to address during the 45-day comment period. As you are likely aware, the regulatory process takes a lot of time to initiate, to go through all the public comment and go through all the review and get everything finalized. It takes quite an extent of time. And these regulations are extremely important for the safety of the public, for the practice of dentistry. And it is paramount that we continue to move this along. And so we have here attachment 2, which is the text. And there's a lot of attachments, of course, that show that we've kind of gone through with all the stakeholders and collected their comments. And the action requested is that the board members review the proposed regulatory text and related attachments and consider whether they would support the staff's recommendation to adopt attachment 2, or if there are suggested changes to the proposed text after review. Staff requests that the board consider the following motions. Option 1, is to move to approve the proposed regulatory text in attachment 2 and request the staff provide attachment to the Dental Hygiene Board of California for their review and reconsideration of the prior action on this item and to obtain consensus with the board on the guidelines. So with the board's approval on attachment 2, we would then take it, give it to the Dental Hygiene Board of California, as Ms. Pacheco mentioned, and they would review it and hopefully approve it at their meeting. And then we could begin the process of the regulatory rulemaking. Thank you.
Thank you. There are a lot of moving parts on this one too. So is there any board member discussion on this? Seeing none. Any public comments? Oh, seeing none. Oh, Mr. Lum, sorry.
Anthony Lum, Executive Officer of the Dental Hygiene Board. I just wanted to piggyback on what Mr. Nelson said and thanking this board for the collaborative effort on this regulatory project. It has been a large project. Both sides had large teams of experts, legal opinions, and support and staff to work on this. So I just wanted to come up here and say thank you. If it's approved today, what I will do then is take the approved language, the draft language, to my board at our July meeting. So hopefully we'll be done with it by that time. So thank you all. Appreciate all the effort and the collaboration.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other public comment?
Sherry Becker, representing the Alliance, just wanted to extend our thanks as well, and we look forward to our suggestions made at the Dental Assisting Council meeting to be integrated. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Well, we have a request for an action. Dr. Felsenfeld.
Felsenfeld, I would like to make a motion to facilitate this process. It's a long and tedious one. We're all well aware of that. So, and we had a great discussion this morning at the DAC, and I think we know where we want to go. So I'm going to move option 1, and we're going to suggest that I move to approve the proposed regulatory text in attachment 2 and request that staff provide attachment 2 to the Dental Hygiene Board of California for their review and reconsideration of their prior action on this item, and to obtain consensus with this board on the guidelines. Upon receiving notice that the Dental Hygiene Board of California has approved attachment 2 and thereby reached consensus with this board, the board further directs staff to submit the text to the Director of the Department of Consumer Affairs and the Business, Consumer Services, and Housing Agency for review. If no adverse comments are received, authorize the executive officer to take all steps necessary to initiate the rulemaking process, make non-substantial changes and to the text and the package, and set the matter for a hearing if requested. If after the 45-day public comment period, no adverse comments are received and no public hearing is requested, authorize the executive officer to take all steps necessary to complete the rulemaking and adopt the proposed regulations as noted in CCR Title 16, Section 1005.
And
We
you
have a
second.
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 You second.
Dr. Ford, a second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just to make sure, are there any other board comments? Are there any other public comments? Dr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Motion was as stated by Dr. Felsenfeld. Chan.
Chan, aye.
And I, Cheng.
Chang, aye.
Cheng, I, David.
David, aye.
David, I, Felsenfeld.
Felsenfeld, aye.
Felsenfeld, I, Forge.
Forge, aye.
Forge, I, Larin, I, Medina.
Medina, aye.
Medina, I, Olage.
Olagi, aye.
Olage, I, Thakur, absent, and you?
You aye.
You, I, motion passes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's move on to agenda item 11A, update on dental licensure and permit statistics. We're on page 135 through 146 of the meeting materials. We're gonna request Jessica Olney to give the update. Oh, you're on the phone. Sorry. Jessica, you there? Does she know? Good morning, Jessica.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Chan, and good morning, members of the board. My name's Jessica Olney. I'm the anesthesia unit manager, and I'll be presenting agenda item 11A. I'll be filling in for Jody Ortiz this morning. And can you confirm that you can hear me okay?
We hear the voice from afar.
Okay. So the agenda item begins on page 135 of your meeting materials. This includes monthly statistics presented in tables of initial applications for dentist licensure, received, approved, denied, and issued for the current fiscal year and 3 previous fiscal years. On page 141, you'll find the statistics on licenses and permits that are issued and maintained by the board in their various statuses. The memo ends with a table breaking down the ratios for dentists to the population in California counties. No action is requested, and I am available to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, is there any board member discussion? Seeing none, is there any public comment? Seeing none. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Oh my goodness. Let's move on to agenda item 12A, enforcement review of statistics and trends. I'm going to ask Patrick Morrissey, Orange Enforcement Field Office Supervising Investigator, to present this agenda item. And please thank your team members for their work on behalf of the board.
Will do. Thank you, everyone. I'm Patrick Morrissey, Supervising Investigator for the Dental Board of California. I'm here to present the enforcement statistics and trends, which for the third quarter of this fiscal year, from January 1st to March 31st. I'm here for any questions.
Is there any board questions or discussions on this report?
I just have a question, Robert David. Are there any, it'd be helpful to me if there are any statistics you could provide at a future board meeting. Are there any common threads on disciplined licensees? I don't know, schools attended, I just have no idea, but,
I know when we do our investigations, we don't look at what schools they went to or anything like that. But I could, if you have kind of specific stuff, we can take note and try to.
if you could just start thinking of some things, it would just be nice to know who are these folks that are getting in trouble, and are there common threads? Are there things that we can? It would be interesting information, I think.
Okay.
So I appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you.
Any other board questions or discussion? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, thank you for your report.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Let's move on to agenda item 13A, diversion program report and statistics. Ms. Bell is going to present this item.
Thank you. Assistant Executive Officer Christy Bell. I'm presenting agenda item 13A, the diversion program report and statistics, which is on page 155 of your meeting materials. The Diversion Evaluation Committee program statistics for the quarter ending on March 31st, 2025 are provided below. These statistics reflect the participant activity in the diversion recovery program and are presented for informational purposes only.
Okay. Any board member discussion? Seeing none, let's go on to, are there any public comments? We're seeing none. All right. And there's no action necessary at this time. Let's go on to agenda item 14A, general anesthesia and sedation permits, inspections and evaluation statistics.
Thank you again, Dr. Chan. Jessica Only, the anesthesia unit manager. I'll be presenting agenda item 14A, which begins on page 156 of your meeting materials. The memo provides a statistical overview of the board-administered on-site inspections and evaluations for general anesthesia, medical general anesthesia, and moderate sedation permits. It also includes an update on the current evaluator pool, which is found on page 166. I would like to note that you will no longer see a separate agenda item to appoint evaluators for the on-site inspection and evaluation program. As a review of Business and Professions Code 1646.4, Subdivision B, and 1647.7, Subdivision A, authorizes the board to contract with public or private organizations or individuals to act as experts in dental outpatient general anesthesia and moderate sedation on-site inspections and evaluations. And please let me know if I'm going too quickly. But in addition to Business and Professions Code, the Business and Professions Code 40 authorizes the board to enter into expert consultant contract agreements to provide specified services, which includes performing the on-site inspections and evaluations. And because of this recent finding, board staff have been assigned to review applications that have been submitted and enter into contracts with those individuals who meet the requirements of California Code of Regulations 1043.2. I would like to provide an update on the number of approved evaluators, which has increased since the posting of the agenda items. We reported that there were 118 North general anesthesia evaluators, and that number has increased to 129. The general anesthesia evaluators for the Southern region was reported as 154, and that has increased to 173.
Wow.
The moderate sedation permit holders, evaluators for the Southern region was reported as 42 and has increased to 52. The moderate sedation evaluators for Northern California were reported at 44 and have increased to 58. The medical general anesthesia evaluators in Northern California were reported as 17, and that has increased to 19. And for medical general anesthesia in Southern California, there was no change. This is a result of a lot of work that went in from staff to recruit and get more evaluators. And we hope that this helps with our evaluations. No action is requested, but again, I am available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Olney. And we also thank the evaluators for stepping forward to help us protect the public. Thank you for that. Is there any board member discussion? Seeing none, are there any public comments? Seeing none. Again, thank you for recruiting evaluators, and thank you for the evaluators for stepping forward again. Let's move on to agenda item 14B, discussion and possible action on recommendation from the board anesthesia committee regarding renewal of a moderate sedation permit following the failure of on-site inspection and evaluation. We're on page 167 to 170 of the meeting materials. Ms. Olney, can you present this item?
I'm sorry, was that my cue?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chan. Sorry. To provide some background, the moderate sedation permit holders are required to pass the on-site inspection and evaluation to maintain their permit. Permit holders are evaluated in their first year of issuance and then required to be reevaluated every 6 years. When a permit holder fails the on-site inspection and evaluation, they must be reevaluated and pass within 30 days of notice, or the permit is suspended. If the permit holder fails solely in the simulated emergencies, they can be reevaluated in the simulated emergency section only. If the permit holder fails a second on-site inspection and evaluation, then the matter is presented to the board on whether to grant or deny the permit or request further evaluation with a board-appointed representative. On April 4th, 2025, the Anesthesia Committee met to discuss permit holder EP. We're not using the entire name, just the initials, who at the recommendation of the board subject matter experts failed 2 on-site inspections and evaluations. The Anesthesia Committee has made a recommendation to deny to the permit of EP, and if the permit holder seeks to reapply for a new moderate sedation permit, they must complete 24 hours of remedial education in the administration of moderate sedation, including recognition and management of dental patients in an outpatient setting, and submit to and pass an on-site inspection and evaluation. And I am available to answer any questions.
Is there any board member discussion? I'm going to invite the chair of the anesthesia committee, Dr. Alan Felsenfeld, to present any more background or recommendations.
Thank you, Dr. Chan. We as a committee, and it's a committee of 2, as all of our committees are, and it's Dr. Chan and myself, are always very responsible for whether or not to remove someone's anesthesia permit, in this case, a moderate sedation permit. And we look at a number of factors. The individual took 2 different exams and failed by 4 different examiners in a number of areas: equipment, drugs, and most important of all, to me personally, having been a GA provider for my career, in the emergency medicine problems. When a patient does have a problem, how do you deal with that? Not so much that you have or don't have a drug there, but how do you deal with it? And he failed both of them. We've had experience with this in the past, and we've dealt with it in a certain way. And at this point, for the same reasons, we're going to make a motion. I'm going to make a motion to adopt the committee recommendation to deny renewal of EP's moderate sedation permit. Denied. If EP seeks to apply for a new moderate sedation permit, he shall or she shall submit for prior board approval and successfully complete, prior to applying for a new moderate sedation permit, remedial education of 24 hours in the administration of moderate sedation, including recognition and management of medical emergencies in the administration of moderate sedation to dental patients in an outpatient setting, and submit to and pass an on-site inspection and evaluation. That's the motion.
And as the other member of the anesthesia committee, I second the motion. Are there any other board comments before we move forward on this?
Robert, David, I'd just like to thank the anesthesia committee for the extra work put in on this.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? Dr. Witcher. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Bruce Witcher, representing myself. I am one of your on-site evaluators and have been for many years. There was a time when, prior to a couple of years ago, when somebody could fail the evaluation, as this individual has done on 2 occasions, to simply reapply and get their permit reissued. There was no remedial education requirement. And I would thank Ms. Shields for bringing that up at one of our prior meetings and saying, you guys need to go back and take a look and maybe fix this. And so that, in fact, did happen during a prior revision. I think it's in the regulations. So anyway, we do see that among all of the sites that we inspect, the most common reason for failure is not drugs or equipment or anything like that. It's simulated emergencies where they actually have to demonstrate with the use of their team and their facility that they understand how to recognize and properly manage dental emergencies. That's our first line of defense. So this is a very important function. And now, due to this change, they have to go back, and if they fail 2 times, they have to go through remedial education. So it's not like they're just flat revoked. They do have an opportunity to remediate. So I think this is a good example of how this works in practice. Thank you.
Not to comment with public comment, but I think they don't have an option. It is being revoked. They have to go back and take it before they can reapply. That's what I said.
Yeah, correct. Thank you. I'm sorry I misstated that.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none. Board Secretary, please call the roll and record the votes for this agenda item.
Board Secretary Letting, the motion is to approve number 2 as stated by Dr. Felsenfeld. Chen?
Chan, aye.
Chen, I. Cheng?
Chang, I.
Cheng, I. David?
David, I.
David, I. Felsenfeld?
Felsenfeld, aye.
Felsenfeld, I. Forge?
Forge, aye.
Forge, I. Larin, I. Medina?
Medina, aye.
Medina, I. Olage?
Olagi, aye.
Olage, I. Thakur, absent. You?
You, I.
You, I. Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you for that. It looks like we're moving on to agenda item 15, concluding the open session portion of this meeting. On Wednesday, May 14th, 2025, the open session is recessed until Thursday, May 15th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. The board will now convene in closed session. At the conclusion of the closed session will be adjourned. Thank you.